Um, do we get started? Remember this? This is so exciting because I was actually, before you got here, reflecting. When did we meet? How did we meet? Do you remember when we, can you share your side? Because I remember your face at a round table, and I believe it was in Quebec. But yeah, you correct in the wrong.
All correct. So the first thing was I was a newbie influencer and I reached out about Costa Rica. And that's when you guys were doing work with Costa Rica.
Okay.
And so then fast forward to probably with that either April or May, you approached me, you're like, hi, I'm Nina. I was like, Nina. Yeah. Like, and from there, it's that was a moment. Brent, I lied, that was not. And that was 7 years ago.
And
literally.
Yeah, and to think, I remember when I met you, your mission was clear. Amplify Black voices in travel.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you are so steadfast in that mission. And I think what's been so lovely, inspiring, exciting to see is that steadfast piece, because missions change, people change, vibes change, but you have been solid as a rock. This is your perfect year. So let's start at the beginning. How did you know, or what happened, or was there a moment that you were like, I want to be the voice to lift Black voices, particularly in travel? Because I remember your report card days. I remember all of it. So tell me the beginning part of the journey.
Yeah, I think it's very random, right? And this is probably everybody's story. I feel like everybody in the travel or tourism industry, especially on the media side, nobody wakes up and was like, oh, today I'm going to be a content creator. Today I'm going to be a blogger. It doesn't really happen like that. For me, it was just like I tripped and fell into it. So I was in the fashion industry world, but I always was a traveler. I just remember one day I was sitting on a plane, and I don't remember which Caribbean country I was going to, but all the in-flight entertainment was of people who didn't look like me. And I'm like, look at everybody on the plane. Like, why does this look like this and not like the people who are actually going to these places? And the only time that you saw Black people was like if they were some form of the help or some form of somebody working in one of those spaces, but it was never like Black people on vacation. So I'm like, okay, no, like this has got to get better. And at the time, the Black travel movement was very, very young. So we may be talking like 3 or 4 years into it, but it hadn't like caught fire like it is now because we just had Instagram, but we hadn't had everything that we have now, basically. And so there was Black Travel Journey, who I worked with first. And I remember she put out a post that said, if you want to work with me, let me know. So I had like all my family and friends like comment on the post, basically like, oh, Marty is the best person. And then she reached out to me like, hey, are you interested? I was like, yes. And so I worked with Black Travel Journey for some time. And then I went over to the Madness Tribe. Yeah. And that was like really where I was able to really, really understand what I wanted to do, because Evita kind of let me just rock out. She was like, you really are passionate about Black travel stories. You're really passionate about Black travel history. And she was like, whatever you want to do, you can do. And so I was able to see that people wanted the information that I was telling them. Yeah. And so from there, I'm like, gosh, what happens next? From there, I think 2020 was the ABC Travel Green Book, and 2021 was Black Travel Alliance.
Okay.
So I still...
And these are our companies that you're building.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You have obviously the influence, but you've built that over the years through trust and, through truly being on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just like a show. Like it's always been... You've never been like when people say, oh, someone's doing it for show or they're jumping on a bandwagon. Like, no. For me, it's always been, this has been your true passion.
Yeah.
But tell me about like work, right? So you're interested in this, you develop, your page, right? Your Instagram page where you're sharing content, but at the same time, how are you making ends meet? How are you thinking of these concepts? Because now you have different groups and different companies, but people listening in, they don't know any of these. So I would love to also share with those companies.
Yeah, I think so. Initially, when you first start out in this travel blogging space or content creator space, people think, oh, I should just quit my job. And it's like, no, not yet, right? Not yet, because you still need some type of steady income, because in the beginning, you're not making thousands and thousands of dollars, right? Mm-hmm. You're learning how to pitch to brands. You're learning how to get your media kit together so that you can get the free hotels there, so that you can get invited to a fam trip. But this is before you even start asking people for money, because you just want to be in that space. But also, it takes time to build your community, right? Mm-hmm. People might not know who you are, but like I tell people all the time, they're like, how do we grow? you go to travel conferences, right? You attend events because that's when you're going to meet Anita. That's when you're going to meet Onika. That's when you're going to meet whoever, because they're going to be there also. So you start to network and people start to remember your name. People start to see you. People follow you from those type of conferences and they continue to share your content. So once I got to maybe that point, then I started like, stepping out into the waters. Oh, how much can I charge to go on a trip and then somebody pay me for content? But that also means that as a content creator, you constantly need to be upping your skills, right? Because you can't be still here and then asking for people to pay for something and you're still here. No, you need some type of top quality content. So I always still had a job on the side, regardless if it was in the travel industry. Like I said, I was in the fashion industry. When I worked for Black Travel Journey, I was still working for a fashion company and Black Travel Journey. When I worked for Evita, I was still working. Now I was, I think, at Skyrim at that point in time, but I was still in the travel industry corporately and still in the travel industry media-wise. Okay. And then right around the other time when I was doing ABC Travel Green Book and Black Travel Alliance, I then moved
which are your companies, correct?
Yes. So ABC Travel Green Book is mine by myself, and then Black Travel Alliance is just a nonprofit organization started by 18 individuals. But that is not paid. I don't get paid on that. But ABC Travel Green Book is part of my ecosystem. So I tell, just people all the time, as content creators, as bloggers, as travel journalists, you have to have a travel ecosystem, right? Because we see what happens when COVID happens. We can't travel anywhere, but how are you still making your money, right? So part of that is consulting. Part of that is coming out with a book or something tangible that you can, put on Amazon yourself, that you can sell copies of. Part of that is coming out with an app. Part of that is coming out with a children's book. So I've always tried to figure out ways for my own business to be sustainable, COVID-proof, whatever proof, if for any reason we are grounded, right? As travel, whatever, that means we have to be able to travel. What happens when you can't? So I'm always thinking about ways, okay, how can this ecosystem either continue to build or how can I continue to come out with new products? So over the 7 years, I've been able to do that, but it is super, like you're saying, feet on the ground, showing up at conferences, asking the questions, making yourself known in the niche that you say you're in, and really, really showing up and showing out for people. And for a lot of people, that's hard because things aren't always sexy, right? Things aren't always easy. You'll get a million no's before you get 3 yeses, right? Sometimes what you believe in isn't what brands believe in, or they say it's what they want to believe in, but they don't reflect that. So how do you continue to stay motivated in those times and make money?
Tell me.
You literally got to believe in yourself, and you have to be okay with it taking a little bit longer, but also with everybody else thinking something about you and being like, nope, hands down, this is what I'm doing. And that's what it's always been for me. When I started putting out the report card, like you were saying, the diversity and travel report card, some people hated it because they were like, how dare you? Like, who gave you the ability to tell me what I'm doing wrong? And I was like, well, I did. Who didn't? Yeah. I was like, I did. Because I'm a traveler and this is what I see and it needs correction. And so the first year, if it wasn't for Anders Lindstrom, actually, at the time he was with Norwegian Air, if it wasn't for him, the rest of the industry would have even looked at it twice. But he's the one who first put it out there. And then it started just catching on like wildfire. So it's doing the things you believe in, even when people are telling you, no, or you can't say that, that's not politically correct, being true to yourself, like you were saying.
I want to pause, y'all, because there's so much and I just want to unpack. So first of all, for people listening in, the travel report card, right, was what would you say? Was it a blog post, an Instagram post, like a social media sort of a campaign she made on her own where she would legit grade travel brands, tourism boards on their diversity effort. Like she was straight up, say this is what it is.
Yeah.
And it was bold, but it was refreshing and it created, hopefully, change because I've seen since then the boards that you're on and the people now bringing you in to be a consultant in the diversity and travel space. So I love this idea of being bold in your conviction. I also want to call out for people listening in, 7 years. People want the Uber success story where, you show up overnight. It ain't like that. We both know that, right? She's been in this game for 7 years, trucking along, figuring out what works and what doesn't along the way, right? And please, if anyone got anything from what Marty just said was you're going to get a million no's before you get one yes.
Yeah.
And finding the perseverance or resilience, right, to keep going. When people say, no, I don't want to work with you. You're not this, you're not that. Well, look at you now, right?
And spoiler alert for anybody who is just starting out, you're like, oh, I saw somebody, they have 100,000 followers. Always remember, social media is not what it seems, right? So there are plenty of influencers who come to me and they have 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers. They're like, how do I monetize? And it's like, you haven't been monetized this whole time, but then you'll have somebody who has 2,000 followers getting paid $10,000 per campaign. And it's like, exactly. So also remember that like social media and virality should not be your end goal, because your end goal is always going to be dollars, right? Like you always wanted to be making money, and it doesn't have anything to do with followers necessarily. It has to do with brand. It has to do with organization. It has to do with how well you can create content or create whatever.
And also what you're known for. So I often tell people, okay, like you're not charging, Marty San Diego is not charging based on her 25,000 Instagram followers.
Right.
She's charging based on her experience, right? Her credibility in this space, the spaces she's been in. And it's interesting because people always want a formula to charge. I mean, got this follower engagement. No. You know, it's not like that. It's also, what do you bring to the table? Yeah. So you brought up money. Let's go for it. This is creator currency, talking to creators about, you know, the money side. You mentioned the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Can you share with us the different streams of income so people can realistically, and if there's one stream that brings you a bigger chunk, like let us know too, so that we could also kind of look at that pie chart in our heads and, you know, think about it.
Yeah. So I'll start with low-hanging fruit, right? These are things that anybody can do. I learned this from Jen on a jet plane at a T-Bex event in Montana, probably 5 years ago. Her session was about how to self-publish on Amazon. And at the time I was like, you can do that. And she was like, absolutely. And this is how much money I make a month from it, right? And so in my head, I'm thinking, what in the world can I put on Amazon that people actually need? And I was like, a new version of the Green Book. Now, mind you, I'm not an author. I'm terrible in English, okay? I need every editor, all of that. I'm more of the creative side. But I hired somebody, my other homegirl, travel influencer homegirl, Tia, because I noticed she had put an ebook on. I hired her to teach me how to do it, and I released the ABC Travel Green Book. Now, I released the ABC Travel Green Book August 2020. It is now October 2023, and there has not been 1 month that I don't get money from that book. Now, mind you, and I haven't even promoted it in 2 years. I only promoted it that first year. There is not a month that goes by that I do not get payments from Amazon US and Amazon EU.
I'm shook.
Not one month.
I'm shook.
Not 1 month. And the most that I've ever made from an Amazon payment for that, because I could be transparent with money, is $10,000 from an ebook. I mean, from an ebook and a regular book. Nope, I kid you not. I made more through Amazon than I made through Barnes and Noble. It was like, I made $10,000 1 month from book sales.
And that's not even promoting it.
That's like,
so there's some search-based something or other. People search.
But it's something people need. So if you can think of,
like, take it.
I'm telling you, if you can think about what people need and how you can make it accessible, regardless if it's a physical book or an ebook, put it on Amazon. People are looking for it. People are looking for it. The other stream of income that I have that people have no idea I have is I sell travel TV show concepts to tons of brands. Absolutely.
So the concept is a concept. So it's like an idea, like consulting status. Where
so if I was a producer and I created a show, I sell that show to AMC, HGTV, MTV. I have sold 3 different shows in the past 3 years, and people have no idea that there's also the concept for that. And this is the thing. Regardless if the show ever makes it onto TV or not, you have a clause in your contract that says you have 2 years to use this concept. If you don't use it, you don't use it. That doesn't mean I still don't get paid. So it's another way of you know, for people to really think like, how does this happen? I recently just signed a book deal for my children's book, which I first self-published on Amazon that a publisher picked up. I made money that way. So like when we say travel ecosystem, that's what I know. It's like
travel for those.
No,
like those 3 are not on travel based.
Exactly. And I'm just at home. So then consulting is also how I get money. For up until June, for the past 3 years, I worked for New York City and Company. So I worked for the tourism board for NYC Tourism. And that was my corporate job. You know what I mean? That was my every 2 weeks paycheck. But I still was in the travel industry because, for one, I love working with influencers, but also as an influencer, I understand that I have to stand in the gap of that to make sure that influencers get the respect and the money that they need from these brands, right? Because sometimes people don't get it. But I mean, and then the app, that's in the ecosystem.
So that's you. Can we talk about that? Because this has been something, when I saw you launch this, I was just like beyond excited, not as even a friend, but just as a need in the community.
Yeah.
So people listening may not even know what app we're talking about. So walk us through. What is this app?
Okay.
Actually, what's the value you're bringing to the table?
Yeah.
And then did you just wake up one day and say, I'm going to find a developer, I'm going to make this up, and then I'm going to publish it? Because people have ideas, but they don't execute. And it seems like you're an executor.
Yeah.
Like, what's your sign?
A Pisces.
Ooh.
Yeah, super creative. I'm going to get the
You're also an executor, which is an interesting creative, but you
that's about the money. You know what I mean? Like, I really am about, I always said I want to be a trillionaire. People are like, you don't want to be a millionaire, billionaire? I was like, why do you have to stop there? Like, if I want to be a trillionaire, let me be a trillionaire and let me say that out loud. But I understand that, you know, any millionaire, their average stream of income is 7. They have 7 different streams. So in my head, again, we're talking about this ecosystem. What are the 7 ways that I can make money? And specifically in the travel space, because that's what I'm good at. That's not what I went to school for. That's not what I was growing up. Like, that's what I'm good at.
And because the app is tech, tech is scalable, tech is sexy. She wasn't a writer. She started a book.
Yeah.
She isn't a tech developer. She started an app.
Yeah.
So tell us about what this app is, what the value brings to the table, and then how you kind of went off to you know, where are you at now with the app. So
right.
And also I'll include a link below so people could download the app.
So yeah. The ABC Travel Green Book came out in 2020, but because I understood that the future of travel is digital and will have everything to do with technology, I was like, I have to create an app. But notice, 2020 to 2023, why did it take so long for everything that you're saying now? I'm not an app developer. I'm not an app designer. I don't know anything about coding. I don't know anything about how to create an app. So it took time for me to actually research. Not only that, I'm a Black woman trying to do an app about Black travel, and there is nobody else in this industry who looks like me who I can ask anything to. So it took me really finding people who, for one, understood my product, and then secondly, who could help me. So the product is the ABC Travel Green Book app. So I took the book and I changed it into an app so that when you are traveling, no matter what you look like, if you want to connect with the African diaspora globally, you can through the app. So it gives you over 170,000 Black-owned business listings throughout the world. We are across 6 continents, just like the book was.
So a user could like go to Iceland and say, I want to find a Black-owned restaurant.
Yep. And it'll pop right up. And then with the app, you can create your own itineraries that are based off of Black-owned businesses in that space. You can talk to other app users. You can leave a review. You can upload pictures. And then you can also recommend a business. And that's my favorite feature because obviously there are so many Black-owned businesses that I don't know exist, of course, right? But you might go somewhere and you're like, it wasn't an app. I'm like, cool, so add it. But like, that's one way I knew that people really liked the app because of the amount of recommended businesses that I get a week.
Wow.
That I can like actually go through. And I would say the number is up to either between 3,000 and 4,000, 4,000, 5,000. I can't remember. I just looked last week, but there's always numbers in my head. But that's based off of just users alone.
Wow.
And so we've been around for 3 months. We have
early on.
Oh, we're early.
You're early.
I
love it.
Early. I have over 7,000 users now.
Wow.
I haven't done any major like marketing for it, but because of my reputation within the Black travel space, my reputation within the travel industry alone, I will always have those people who are always going to support
and vouch for you.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Quickly.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've had 7,000 users and I'm grateful, and 7,000 users across 27 countries.
Wow.
So I'm just like, perfect. But the way I make money through that, I make money 2 ways. I make money through user subscriptions because it is subscription based. I tried to do it so it would be like a no-brainer for people. So like, either pay $3.99 monthly, or you pay $59 or $50, yearly, or you pay $60 for a lifetime. Because in my head, everybody's gonna do lifetime. You save the most money, but did people do that? No. However, that's what I do. If I got 17,000 people to do the lifetime, that I would make $1 million. And so again, this is you breaking it down and really doing the math to be like, what do I need in order to do this? If you go to my page, my ABC Travel Green Book, I have 48,000 followers on there. 17,000 isn't even half. So if even I got a quarter, 30%, like they will percentage exactly, yeah, just to use the app, I'm good. You know what I mean? And it's a gift that keeps on giving. But the other way I make money is through DMOs who want to promote in the app to get people to come to their Black travel businesses or their Black businesses within the space. So I get paid not only as a content creator to come out and create content for them, but the app also gets paid because then they buy space for 3 to 6 months on the app's homepage.
I am blown away because when we talk, so pitching is my thing and travel pitching. A lot of people come to me, off the record before we got on today. You were like, Nina, my homegirl should join your course. That shit is good. Like, I'm happy you did it. That's her thing. She goes to me, she's like, saying, whatever. We're talking about how like pitching is my thing. And basically, like, when I think travel pitching, people are like, sponsored posts. I'm like, no, like you're saying pitching an app, like a membership. Now this DMO is like, ain't nobody offered me that. No. So how different that makes you. And now your brand partnership, solidifying your brand partnership. It's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
Like
all part of that ecosystem. I'm telling you.
It is so good. So the app is now, obviously it's useful. It is helpful. It is something your community knows. It is in the space of amplifying Black voices in travel. It makes perfect sense, right? In terms of building your team, because I think people are going to be listening. They're like, oh my God, she's like a boss. Like how is she doing all of this? Because I know people think something. I'm like, I'm hanging by a thread. But how are you growing your team? How are you getting help? Are you doing this on your own? Is the more money you make, the more you're investing in people? Are you kind of like trying to stay lean and not have too many people because it's a headache managing? I mean, I could talk about this for days too. Where are you at in terms of, scaling your biz? Because tech is, I know it's only 3 months old, but this has an opportunity to really scale, take off.
Absolutely. So
you kept saying, oh, my team, like stuff like that.
Yeah. Right now, I am a team of 3.
Okay.
The biggest thing was my ambassadors. So I have ambassadors that are across 9 different countries on 4 different continents that right now they have an American Express card once a month. They go to a Black-owned business, they support it, and then they either create content or write for me because I understand I don't have time to do that. Ain't no way I can do that, Black Travel Line, and whatever else I'm doing every day, all day, right?
Yeah.
But I do want a dream team of people. And it's because nobody can grow or scale on their own. It's impossible. There's so many things that have to be done, but also you realizing that everything is not your ministry or your strength, okay? I understand. When it comes to organization, that is not me, right? When it comes to execution and marketing, that's me. But when it comes to organization, that's somebody else. I also understand I need a producer because I know I need to be, just like we are here, like in front of the camera, but I need somebody who's able to do that. I need somebody who can handle brand partnerships when I can't handle it. So when it comes to a team, I know by 2024, I'm going to have a team of probably 6 people. And it's really great because there are people who are constantly tagging my page, right? And so I see how they're working. I see how they move. I see the type of content they create because my biggest thing is I have had employees, but they don't believe in it like I believe in it. And that's the issue. If you don't care about Black travel and amplifying Black-owned businesses around the world, you are not going to fit in here because I'm so passionate about it. So if you come in and I'm here and you're here, that's not going to work for me. So everybody who I'm bringing on my team are people who are already here also doing the same thing, but haven't been in the game, for 7 years. It's people who are up and coming, but I'm like, I see you. I love what you're doing. You are exactly where I was at year 3. And it's so funny because one of the girls I asked her, she said, you have no idea. She's like, I put you on my vision board last year. I was like, girl, what? She was like, I put you on my vision board. She's like, I want to be like Marty. I was like, you don't want to be like Marty. You want to be better than Marty. You want to have more resources than Marty. But I want you to absolutely kill anything that you put your mind to. And so that's how I've been finding kind of like my squad. But also, when it comes to apps, a lot of people don't realize that there's so much money out there, especially if you are female and of any type of minority, right? So when it comes to tech, there's a lot of grants that I write to try to get funding that way because, for one, I don't want to owe anybody. But I say that to say part of the things that people look at when you are applying for grants is your advisory board. So I have 12 kick-ass Black women who either are in travel or tech who are on either the corporate side, the media side, or are developers on their own. And I put all of them on there because I need those people who are now looking to invest into the app to see that I know people and they can help me along my journey.
So you're applying for grants.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all.
Every month right now, we definitely get paid from the app, which is amazing, but it's not what I want. So I'm like, I need other money. And I I will apply for a loan, but that has to be literally my last resort. There are so many resources out there, and I'm like signed up for everything. I'm signed up for Hello Alice is a really good one.
What is that? Like
HelloAlice.com. Okay, they give you tons of grant opportunities, tons of business coaching if you need it.
Yeah,
but you know, just for entrepreneurs. Then there's the I Fund Women campaign, that was where I got my first grant through them. So I'd always signed up to all of those just to know. I do pitch competitions left and right because I need to be able to talk about it in my sleep anyways. And even when people say, no, it doesn't matter, it leads to something else. Like a judge will come up and be like, I know that we didn't pick you for this, but I'm really interested to see where you are in 3 months. Holla at me. And I'm like, cool, no problem. And then I was also really, really intentional with my beta testing on who I had as beta testers. So I do a lot of work with TripAdvisor. My app was based on TripAdvisor's design, basically, but obviously I don't have TripAdvisor money, so it's like, it ain't gonna look like this in year one, right? But I invited all of my friends from TripAdvisor to be beta testers.
Yeah.
Why? Because eventually, one question you always want to ask yourself as an entrepreneur is, who are the top 5 companies who can buy my brand, right? Yeah, who I would actually sell my brand to.
Yeah.
If I ever want to sell, and TripAdvisor is definitely on my top 5.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you don't think that they're not looking at what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think that they're asking me? Like, how can we work with you? Are you interested in selling? Oh, what does your product development look like? So everything that I do in any of my businesses is always super intentional.
And strategic.
Always.
Wow. I'm blown away.
Yeah. I don't play that. I'm like, nope. The end goal again is to be a trillionaire. You can't be a trillionaire when you don't have any. It's like, you know, like skeleton. You have to level up every single step of the way. And thank God that's what I've been able to do.
I'm like shook because I see that app. I see how strategic. I've had conversations with people all the time about scaling. Like, how do we scale? How do we get stuck, right? A lot of creators want to build their own brands, but they are the brand.
Yeah.
How do you sell yourself? And I love that this app is an extension of you, but it's not you. It's an extension. You've almost built a separate identity that is arguably sellable one day. So in the terms of the ecosystem, we got the Amazon self-publishing. We have the consulting. We have the app. We have brand deals, right? We have pitching concepts to different networks. You talked about that. In terms of brand deals, because I think that's what a lot of people come to me for. Would you say that that is a lucrative area of your business? Do you find that and what type of, besides like within the app DMO, what type of sponsorships are you seeing come in? And then after, I'd love to talk about your Black Travel Alliance, because I think that's also sort of part of the ecosystem.
It is in some way ecosystem, yeah.
Yeah.
So my best brand partnership right now is with Marriott Bonvoy. I love the actual brand itself. So I tell people all the time, like, don't just do brand deals to do it with the company that you really believe in, because that's going to be so much more authentic when you're creating the content, right? Like,
look at that. You talk about a podcast naturally. Like
100%. I love, they not only are my best brand in terms of money because they pay so well, but like, I just got a card from one of the marketing people who I work with, and she just sent me a card to my house to say thank you. And I was like, you don't understand. It's just means so much because you really care and you really know. And I know because you handwritten a card and you sent it to my house. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time, like, work with brands who you really reflect and who really believe in you. It's a dream partnership. And spoiler alert, another thing, real quick, LinkedIn. That's how I connected with Marriott. I get most of my business from LinkedIn and Travel Pop.
Pause. Everyone listening, travel creators, y'all spend way too much time on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Y'all using Gap and Cord on that. I tell you, I know.
LinkedIn is it. It's it for me, because you are able to directly connect with the people who are making the decisions that say yes or no to you.
Yeah.
And you can see what a brand's doing at all times. So that's how I got that Marriott partnership with actual LinkedIn.
Are there any other brands that you've worked with that you've had like pinch me moments? Like, damn, like this is legit. Whether it's, you know, I don't know, maybe young Marty of 7 years ago at that conference meeting me would have just been like, look at you, girl.
Yeah, I'll definitely say TripAdvisor. I mean, they stay in my ecosystem all the time. They always want to do something every year. And that's the other thing. Like, I'm very intentional when I talk to brands about that. This is not a one and done. You're not going to work with me one time because that's not authentic. And
that's a one night stand approach. You know, they're like, I'm trying to wipe it up.
Exactly. And I tell people all the time, also, every brand partnership is not a good one. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, actually, this is not aligned with who I am as a creator. It just doesn't make sense. And it could be amazing, but it doesn't make sense. But I would say TripAdvisor is another one for me. And then Conde Nast, because like
let's talk about that because you're an advisor on their board too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like the stuff, that's an amazing. Well, first of all, you deserve everything and more, and I'm always saying it, and so is Clarice. We are like, whenever there's something, we're like, she has again been so steadfast in this. This is not fake. This is not performative. This isn't for any sort of, clout. This is Marty to the bone, with or without the influence. But I think Conde Nast it was interesting because you're also on their board, right? So does that mean you get to kind of be a part of their decisions? Do you get to influence,
Sure. They act this all the time too. And I think it's important when brands realize like we don't know everything and they are willing to listen to feedback. So there was like this one time where they were going to a country in Africa and they wanted to do a story. And when I looked at the people who they had on the story, I was like, there is nobody who is Black or even of African descent. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, let me connect you with people on the ground. You can use a photographer from there. You can use journalists who speak perfect English, perfect French. You know what I mean? Like, Arabic.
To work the blind spots.
Exactly. They're the blind spot. And so without me, without whoever, they don't have those connections. And that's why being on advisory boards are extremely important because your network comes with you. So whoever your network is, that's Conde Nast network also. But they are amazing. Everything that I pitch or everything that I say, hey, maybe you should do it this way. They're like, yep, let's do it. Let's see, how much better that is. And so I'm really, really just appreciative of that. But, when I go to New York, hey, you guys want to do lunch? Yeah, let's come down. Let's do lunch. I love that. So it's just having those connections.
And you've worked so hard to get there. So I think in terms of you're on their board.
Yeah.
You have your own board for your app.
Yeah.
But you also have a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about it.
And so the Black Travel Alliance was created in 2020 and there was 18 of us. Monet is one of those people who are one of the co-founders. But it was after the brands posted for Blackout Tuesday. And we were just like so frustrated because we were like, you don't work with us. When you do work with us, you don't pay us the same wages. And we were like, we have to do something to stand up against this. So it initially started off honestly as a social media like campaign to basically say like, okay, who have you hired? How many Black people do you work with? What are the wages? How many Black creators have you worked with? And then it turned into this nonprofit organization with over 3,000 members who've given out $200,000 worth of scholarships, who does programming every single month, who does Wavelength once a year to connect brands directly, like who does the Creators Weekend. Like we turned into so much more and none of us created it for it to be that way, but that's how it is now. And like, every day I have to remind myself, like, you could never stop doing this, even if you tried, because of how you feel about the Black travel space and the Black travel community. And I was like, I will forever show up for people who look like me, who are in this space, because I understand it's 10 times harder, And so the Black Travel Alliance allows me to do that. I have a wonderful staff.
And that is a group.
It's a group of us. So there's 18 founders. But right now I have a staff of 7.
Okay.
We're in our 3rd year. We just celebrated 3 years old in June. But like I said, $200,000 later.
Trips, right? Because I know there's a lot of creators that listen and they may want to sign up for a trip or to be. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. I'll also include a link below.
There's a program called Creators Weekend, and this is also for destinations or brands who are listening. Yeah. But it's for Black travel content creators to come in and have a mini conference at your destination. And what it does in return is it teaches them not only how to, for one, collaborate with their peers, but it sharpens their skills because we send experts to teach them how to do things like photography or how to film food or take pictures of food and how to write specifically when you only want to talk about the entrepreneur and then kind of their business is the background. But then it also gives a blitz to whatever destination that is. And especially, amongst Black travelers. The first one was in Portland last month or September, it's October. And it was so funny. I was talking to the representative. She said they're still posting about it. And so we have over 100 posts that come from 10 different creators. And then imagine what that reaches now, right? So it's over 1 million now, right? Even when we repost it also, but it's showing Black travelers that Travel Portland wants you in this destination and these are the things that you can do.
Yes.
So it does that for the industry.
And I love that it's not tied to some like Black History Month camp.
No.
Like this is, you know what I mean? Because I'll have creators all the time, Black women who come to me and they're like, they'll hit me up January 29th, like the day before, Black History, because they didn't have a face. these are things that are happening throughout the year, like Visit Portland in October or in whatever, September. And I think it's refreshing, you know, and it shows that the moves are not performative, but they're actually like, things are happening. Things are changing.
Exactly. And Travel Portland is like one of our best supporters. They do our wavelength event that happens this Thursday every year, where they have said, we want to connect with Black travelers. We want to, you know, bring content creators out here so that we can tell a story from their lens. And it makes a difference because just like any other travelers, we're not a monolith. We don't all like only food. We don't all only like luxury hotels. Like we cover so many different niches. So it makes it a really big difference. But our second one is in Galapagos, and that happens this week. So if you are a Black travel content creator, and if you're not a Black travel content creator, but you want to be connected, go to blacktravellines.org. We have membership. And Creators Weekend is one of those things that we put in.
I tell people all the time, like, you guys need to meet in person, you know, like Black Travel Summit this week. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be there on Sunday. We have like a booth, you know, I want to be involved, support. And I think people forget, just meet people in person. It's so good. And this is another way to do it.
Absolutely.
I think in terms of like not the last big thing, but I think something that big happened to you was the show.
Yeah.
We don't talk about it.
It's so funny. I forget about the show. That's fine.
And I know people listening this may be the first time they've ever even heard about you. I want to know about the Nat Geo, you know, reaching out. Did you pitch them? Has this now been like, I want to know.
It's like so funny, right? Because spoiler alert,
I mean,
you don't reach out to me because they found me on Instagram.
National Geographic reached out to Marty because they found her on Instagram.
Because they found me on Instagram.
With all her 25,000 followers. Because you never know who's watching.
You never know who's watching. And mind you, I didn't have 25,000 followers when they reached out to me. They reached out to me maybe when I had 14 or 15.
There you go.
And so it's not a follower game, no. And I was specifically talking about Black travel. I didn't care how unsexy it was. I didn't care who didn't care, who did care. People are watching, and that's the truth. But I remember the email came through, and I thought it was fake. And I remember showing it to my group because we were on a press trip. And I said, these people said they not Geo. I said, I'm so tired of people just playing in my inbox.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, look at her email address. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so it came that way. But again, I have a shark of a lawyer. So I wasn't playing any games with Nat Geo. I was like, if you want me to do this, I have to have an all Black cast. I only want Black makeup artists, and I only can wear Black designers. And I was like, so either you want me or you don't. And I was willing to walk away with it. But they were like, cool, done. And I was like, you know, that easy? Like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But also, for me, it was that moment where it was like a network that shows animals, right? Yeah. And that shows what happens when the sea gets drained and what lies beneath. Wants a Black girl from Oakland to talk about Black travel and help amplify the Negro Motorist Green Book, which my Green Book is completely based off of that one. And for me, that was just monumental. And I had an all Black team from Nat Geo. And I told them, I want the all Black team. Now, also spoiler alert, TV is different. So many politics go into TV, and people don't understand that one either. And so I can remember making the decision to walk away from Nat Geo. And people, why would you do that? Because this is not the network for me. Am I super grateful that I got the opportunity to work with them? Yes. But I also realize what I will compromise for and what I won't compromise for, and who I say I am, I have to stand fast to that. So most people wouldn't do that, right? But I was like, I'm not playing any games with them.
I mean, and this I think will pay off in so many ways. Like karma, energetically, all the things.
Because like I tell people, if I started at Nat Geo, there's nothing under Nat Geo. I can only keep going up, you know, for that me. So it's that, again, like you're saying in the beginning, being very true to yourself. And I am. I would never compromise what I say I'm going to do and then do something different. I would never compromise, and my audience feels like I'm not who I say I am. I don't do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with telling a brand, that's not for me. So I said.
And being this is what we need more of, like conviction, boundaries, a true sense of self too. You know, so you're not just lost because it's easy to get lost.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Rob could still go watch me on Hulu and Disney Plus. So I'm like, it's fine, you know. Oh my gosh, yes, and it's so funny because you know my parents are older and they don't really get the content creator space.
It's same.
But when they can see me on the screen at Nat Geo Studios because they're premiering, they're like,
Yeah, it's like,
wow.
it's like,
They're like, this is real. This is real. They could turn on their TV and go to Disney and type in Black Travel Across America or Martinique Lewis and it, you know, pops up. They're like, okay. So it was one of those moments for me. But like I said, still, my crew at Nat Geo, love them to death. What they were able to do as, you know, an all-Black crew and have such success with Black Travel Across America, I'm super grateful.
and this all is part of that same travel book from the Amazon, and it's all linked and it's strategic, and it got the show 3 years later. I mean, there's no coincidences, right? There's only God incidences, right? Like this is like a true blessing from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So Marty, before we sign off today, because I feel like we've talked really what I want to talk about monetization. We've talked about your journey. Again, I know people look and are like, she's this amazing, you know, strong businesswoman, which you are. But I always like to say, every single one of us started from zero. We all, you know, climbed our way and did what we had to do. Now, for the beginner, listening, any words of advice to the younger you, things to do differently, things that maybe you wish someone pulled you aside and told you, just to the younger Marty, like any sort of, you know, advice that you would share?
Yeah, I would definitely say numbers do not matter. I mean, they're important, but they are not your end all be all. And do not let numbers tell you who you are, right? There are times where I get no likes. Does that mean I'll ever stop posting? No, because I'm not posting for likes. I'm posting because this is the information I choose to put out. So number one, you are not your numbers and they do not justify you. The second is, regardless of what stage you're at, always collaborate. And when you get to a different level, bring somebody else with you. That is the way that I have been successful in this industry. I tell people all the time, if it wasn't for Lola, right? Lola was the first person to recommend me to a big brand, and it was to Facebook because she couldn't do something that they asked her to do. Mind you, Lola at this point had won every single awards. This might have been year 3 for me. And she said, I can't come, but you should really look at Martinique Lewis. Now, why would somebody as big as Lola say me? There was other people that she could have said who were high profile like her. And from that moment on, my career took off. So really, I always have Lola to thank for it. If Evita didn't let me rock out on her platform like I did, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I tell people all the time, if you get to that little bit of success, take that next person and bring them up with you. Like, we're all so much better together. There's so much room at the table for us all to have a seat, for us all to eat until we're full. I tell people there's no I in team, or like I'll be talking about at Black Travel Summit, there's no I and B, because there isn't. So always understand, like, we're better together and we should be collaborating.
And I think truly, again, that's so authentic to you because there's been collaboration opportunity for us. But when I think of you, I do think of that.
Oh,
I really do. I do think of you as someone who is truly in it to lift other people. You're not like a lone wolf, like, you know, you've always been arms wide open. You've always been, hey, Nina, like I've always found that you do bring people along with you. And I love that about you. So thank you for coming and sharing.
and for having me.
This has been really good.
It has.